have reached Red Seal's Toy Book Review. I'm your man, and today I'll be reviewing from Transformer Age of the Prime, Prima Prime. Transformers Age of the Primes, Prima Prime. But before I get to the actual review, I just want to go over some of the awesome details on this packaging. Up front here, it's going to show you both the figure and all the accessories inside. In the top corner here, you have more than meets the eye. Below that, you have the Autobot symbol. Middle here says it takes 20 steps to transform him. And on the bottom here, you have the 8+, which is the age requirement for this figure. The other side of the packaging, you have two beautiful illustrations of Prima Prime, both in his robot mode and in his Cybertronian truck mode. Across the bottom here, it says Transformers Age of the Primes. Below that, you have the 13 Prima Prime. In the corner here, the Hasbro emblem. On the top of the packaging here, again, you have the 13 Prima Prime. And in this corner, this time, you have the Takara Tomy logo. The other side of the packaging here, you have this awesome profile shot of Prima Prime. And below that, you have Transformers Age of the Primes. And on the very bottom here, it says the 13 Prima Prime. The other side of the packaging here, on the very top, it says till all are one. In the middle here, this beautiful illustration of some of the primes, including Prima Prime, you have Vector Prime, and over here you have Vector Sigma. Across the bottom again, it says Transformers Age of the Primes, and down here it says it is a Voyager class figure. Then the back of the packaging here, on the very top it says the 13 Prima Prime. In the middle you have all the figures features, such as Prima Prime in his robot mode, Prima Prime in his Cybertronian truck mode, over here the Star Saber, and over here you have the Autobot Matrix of Leadership. And down here you have the More Than Meets the Eye authentic logo, and in the corner here you have the Hasbro emblem. Transformers Age of the Primes, Voyager class, the 13 Prima Prime. Prima Prime was released March 2025 with the suggested retail price of $34.99, and is available at all major retailers. Prima Prime was released along with the other Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class Wave 1 figure, Red Alert. Prima Prime is a Transformer universe inspired figure that converts to a Cybertronian truck mode in 20 steps. His accessories include the Star Saber sword, Matrix of Leadership, and instructions. Prima Prime stands 7 inches tall, and he is meant for fans ages 8 and up. Now I'm going to go ahead and convert Prima Prime from his robot mode all the way to his Cybertronian truck mode. But the first thing you always want to do before you transform any Transformers, you want to remove all the weapons and accessories. So I'm going to take the Star Saber here, and I'm going to put this off to the side. So first step of the transformation, I'm going to take the forearms right here. Then once you flip them forward. But the front of the forearms, you have a hinge joint right there and right there. So you do that forearm now, and you flip it forward just like that. Going to the other side of that forearm, you want to go and flip it forward just like that. Because step number 2, you have Prima Prime's fist right there and right there. And another ball socket joint, so we're going to flip this fist in to the forearm just like that. Do that to your side of that fist, flip it in the forearm just like that. So step number 3, where the bicep meets the shoulder right here, there's a swivel joint. Do it to this whole arm piece now and rotate it all the way around just like that. Going to the other side of that arm piece now and rotate it all the way around just like that. Step number 4. You take Prima Prime and turn them all around. This backpack piece right here. You take this backpack piece and separate it just like that. So step number 5. We're going to turn Prima Prime around again with this chest piece right here. And on this chest piece, you have a swivel joint right at the waist. You want to take this chest piece and rotate it all the way around just like that. So step number 6, on the inside of the chest piece, you have a couple wheels right there and right there. Inside these wheels, you have a hinge joint right there and right there. You want to take these wheel pieces, you want to flip them out just like that. Do that to the other side of that wheel piece and flip it out just like that. So step number 7, you have Prima Prime's head right here, and bottom of his head you have a hinge joint. You want to get that head, you want to flip it right into the chest just like that. So step number 8, with this chest piece, you see that hinge joint right here. I want to slightly bring it down just like that. So step number 9, the backpack piece right here in the back, you have a hinge joint right there. So I'm going to bring this backpack piece up just like that. So step number 10, you take these arm pieces right here. Right between these arm pieces, you have a couple double jointed hinge joints right at the shoulder. I'm going to bring these arm pieces up just like that and just like that. So step number 11, you want to take this backpack piece and bring it towards the body just like that. So step number 12, you have these arm pieces right there and right there. The backpack piece, you have a little tab right there. Front piece, you have a little slot right there. You want to take this arm piece now, you want to bring it down and in, and you want to go ahead and tab it right into place, just like that. Do that to your side, bring that arm piece down, make sure that forearm piece tabs right into place, just like that. In step number 13, you have this grill piece right here, you have a hinge joint right there. You want to bring this grill piece down, but inside this grill piece, you have a couple portholes right there and right there. On the shoulder pieces right here, you have a tab right there and right there. I'm going to go and bring that grill piece down just like that. Step number 14. On the back of Prima Prime's legs, you have these wheel pieces right there and right there. On the outside of these pieces, you have a hinge joint right there and right there. I take the wheel piece, you want to dig them out, flip them out, and take them so they're out of the way. Do that to the side, take that wheel piece and flip it out so it's out of the way, just like that. This is step number 15. You want to take Prima Prime's feet right here, you want to flip them right into the back of the leg. Well, on top of the heel right here, you have a tab right there and right there. There's a hinge nut right there and right there. And on the inside leg, you have a porthole right there and right there. We're going to take his foot now and flip it right in so the tab goes right into that porthole just like that. Go and do it to the side of that foot. Flip it into place just like that. So step number 16, we'll take Prima Prime's legs now. You want to bring them together because there's a tab right there and right there. And there's a slot right there and right there. We're going to tab them right into place. You'll hear a little pop. Just like that. Then step number 17, what you want to do is take this leg piece now. You want to slightly bring it out, just like that. So step number 18, you want to take this leg piece now. You want to collapse it right over the thigh right there and right there. There's a hinge nut right there and right there. So you do that by go ahead and you bring it in, very old school like, just like that. So step number 19, with these leg pieces, you got a tab right there and right there. And you have a little slot right there and right there. You want to go ahead and bring it in so it goes right into place just like that. Here's the 20th and final step. You have that wheel piece right there and right there. And inside these wheel pieces, you have a hinge joint right there and right there. Want to take this wheel piece now. You want to go and flip it down just like that. Go and do it to the other side to that wheel piece and flip it down just like that. And now you have Prima Prime in this full Cybertronian truck mode. Now that Prima Prime in his Cybertronian truck mode and on my display table, so I'm going to go over some of his play features and accessories first by talking about the Star Saber Sword. And according to the instructions, we're going to store the sword on Prima Prime while he's in his vehicle mode. But before you do that, you want to go and grab his other accessory, the Matrix of Leadership. On the back of the Matrix, you have a porthole right here. On the center of the hilt right here, you have a little peg. I'm going to plug that Matrix right into the hilt just like that. And now you have the Matrix of Leadership merged with the Star Saber Sword. I want to the sword now. Again, with the handle right here, you got that little peg on the very end. At the front of the grill right here, you have a porthole. I want to take that sword, I want to plug it right into the grill just like that. And now you have Prima Prime armed with the Star Saber Sword. Kind of an unimaginative way of arming your Transformer while they're in their vehicle mode. But according to the instructions, we're going to store the Star Saber Sword on Prima Prime while he's in his vehicle mode. You do that removing the Star Saber Sword. Unfortunately, there is not a way to store the Matrix of Leadership on Prima Prime while he's in his vehicle mode. But you are able to do that in his robot mode, which I'll show you later on. So I'll put this off to the side. But in order to store the sword, you need to disassemble it. So you need to remove the blade from the hilt, which you do by pulling it apart just like that. At the bottom of the blade right here, you have a little porthole. On the back of the Cybertronian truck mode, you have a little peg right there. You want to plug that blade right into that porthole, just like that. And now you want to go ahead and flip over Prima Prime. On the inside of the wheel well, you have a porthole right there and right there. On the end of the hilt again, at the handle here, you have that little peg You'll take that handle now and just plug it right into that wheel well, just like that. And now you have the Star Saber stored while Prima Prime is in his Cybertronian truck mode. But I'm personally not a big fan of storing your weapons on your Transformers unless it plays a part of the transformation, which it does not in this case. So I'm going to take this Star Saber sword and put it off to the side. It was also, according to the instruction, there is another alternate transformation that can be done with Prima Prime. And it's kind of a sidebar in the instructions. And you get there by taking the wheels right here. You got a hinge nut right there and right there. You want to take these wheels, you want to flip it out just like that. Do that, just like that wheel, and flip it out just like that. Now you have these wheel walls in the back here. You got a hinge nut right there and right there. You want to take that wheel now. You want to flip it out just like that and just like that. You got a little hinge joint, double jointed hinge joint right there. Then you want to take that wheel wall now and kind of push it in just like that. Do that to your side, push it in just like that. And now you have Prima Prime in his third alternate mode, which isn't really canon. I think it's just an additional play feature added to this figure to make it more durable, or more play features the merrier. That's how I put it. But so I'm going to put him back into his original vehicle mode. So I do want to go over this actual vehicle mode because I do feel like it's really, really cool. And I had a feeling this figure was going to be very underrated, maybe a shelf warmer. But he is a cool figure nonetheless. I do really enjoy it. I think they did a great job. A lot of great mold detail here. I like the translucent blue plastic that they used for the windshield here. And he is canon to the G1 continuity because he did appear in the Generation 1 cartoon series in Season 3, that first 5-part series, 5 Faces of Darkness. And it's a segment where Rodimus Prime short-circuits himself and he kind of delves into the Matrix to kind of find the origins of the Transformers, where they discover that they were created by the Quintessons, and eventually the Transformers were rebelled against the robot masters, and they drove the Quintessons from Cybertron, and Prima Prime was one of the original Autobot leaders in the original war for Cybertron, where the robots broke off into 2 factions, Autobot and Decepticons, of course, and he was one of the previous Autobot leaders that was kind of giving Rodimus Prime kind of a breakdown of the history of the Transformers. Now that Prima Prime in this robot mode and on my display table, I once again want to go over some of his plate features and accessories, first by talking about the Star Saber sword. And according to the instructions, there's going to arm Prima Prime with the Star Saber sword while he's in his robot mode. But before you do that, you want to go ahead and bring in the Autobot Matrix of Leadership. And once again, you want to go and put that Matrix of Leadership into the hilt of the sword just like that. Because on the end of the handle right here, it's a 5mm peg. Each one of his fists has a 5mm porthole. The unique feature too about his fist is you got a hinge nut right there where the hand actually opens up. But it's still engineered where the porthole still exists even with the hands open. So you just take the handle right here, you slide it right into his hand just like that, and you can go and close his fist up. And now you have Prima Prime armed with the Star Saber sword and the Autobot Matrix of Leadership. I think it's really cool. But also, according to the instruction, you can store both accessories on Prima Prime while he is in his robot mode. You can remove the sword from his hand. The Matrix of Leadership, you can remove it from the hilt. And on his chest here, you have this little compartment. You have a hinge nut right here, and you have a little hole right here where you could pry open this panel and bring it down just like that. In the middle of his chest cavity right here, you have a little peg. The back of the Matrix, again, you have that porthole right here. You want to take that Matrix, you want to plug it right into his chest just like that. Once you take that compartment, you want to shut it, and now you have the Matrix of Leadership stored in Prima Prime's chest. Now you're going to take the Star Saber sword. On the back of the sword right here, you have that peg right there. You turn Prima Prime around, you have a porthole right there and right there. You want to go and peg that right into the backpack just like that. And now you have all of Prima Prime's accessories stored while he's in his robot mode. But as a collector and a person that's going to display my Transformers, I feel like, why would you store them when you can actually arm them? So I'm going to take that Matrix of Leadership, I'm going to pull it out of his chest, just like that. Get that Star Saber sword, pull that out, put the Matrix back into the hilt, and I'm going to go and put the sword right back. Well, actually, you know what? Before I do that, I want to go into the detail of the Star Saber sword because they did a lot of great paint detail and mold detail on both accessories. So you have the sword right here. You have that clear translucent blue plastic right here. It kind of gives it that energon effect, which is really, really cool. A lot of great mold detail also. You got some silver paint detail here where it has that dull luster where you shine to certain angles of light. You get that dull metallic luster. And you got a little insignia right here, which I don't know what that symbolizes. I'm not sure you guys can see that on camera. I'll bring it as close as possible. A very, very cool paint detail right there. You got some mold detail right here, which is more meant for the Matrix. Now getting into the Matrix, this is actually the same Matrix they've used throughout most of the Generations toy line and Kingdom, Siege. This came with Galvatron, where you could plug in that chain in the back of the Matrix. Very, very nicely done. And what they did is they molded out a translucent blue plastic just like they did with the blade of the sword, but did that metallic silver paint detail around it to give it that look from the movie. Very, very nicely done. This is a very beautiful accessory, and I know one of the Primes that I got previously where they molded it all out of white, I believe it was from the Devastation Optimus Prime where they used the same Matrix, just molded out of a white plastic, where they could have just included this accessory in there. I'm not sure if that was more of a cost-cutting measure, because this is a Voyager class figure and Devastation Prime was a Deluxe class figure. But when you plug the two together, it just gives it that nice look. I mean, you can see all that great detail. A great accessory. I'm going to go and put that back into Prima Prime's hand, because he's a great figure. I mean, he has a very dull paint scheme, but that is because there was a limitation on the paint scheme for the actual figure, because they were trying to stay as faithful as they could for the animated model for the Generation cartoon series. And like I mentioned earlier on, he is based on a character that made a brief cameo in the original Generation 1 cartoon series. It was from that little flashback where Prime short-circuits himself, or Rodimus Prime short-circuits himself, goes into the Matrix and explores the origins of the Transformers, which I'm not going to get into detail, but he is a figure that did have a vehicle mode, brief vehicle mode, which I know the animated model for the robot mode is very faithful to the cartoon series, and even the color scheme. Very, very cool figure, lots of points of articulation. He's a big figure too. I do really, really like him, and I would recommend getting him, especially because he is part of the Generation 1 continuity. Very, very nice figure. If you found any of the information in this review valuable, please like and share this video. Also, if you really enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel, and while you're there, click the bell to be notified of any future videos. I want to thank you guys for watching Red Steele's Awesome Toy Collector Review. I'll check you guys out next time.